Hola clase, welcome to midterm week. So I know nobody's really excited about taking a midterm, but next week is spring break, so there is a little bit, at least something to look forward to. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about the midterm, how to study for the midterm, and of course your oral assessment that is due this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Of course, all of your assignments are due at 11:59 p.m., but the only two things, again, that are due are the midterm and this assignment here that I already have pulled up. So if you're wondering why is it that you're over in the screen over here to the corner and why am I looking at my Spanish lab, it's because I want to kind of walk through a few of these things with you, especially showing you where it is that you can go to study and prepare for the midterm. Okay, so on your calendar you will find Práctica Oral 9.2, un tour por la universidad, and this is your oral assessment. So remember with your oral assessment to practice before you record. You are allowed 2 full minutes, but most people, it will not take them 2 full minutes. The only time I've ever seen that it really takes somebody that long is when they really haven't practiced and they're kind of going, that sort of thing in between. So practice before you record, because obviously you're going to get points off if you are speaking English, if it's not practiced, that sort of thing. Okay, and remember, only one attempt. So once you have recorded and you really like your recording, that's when you need to submit for grading. So don't submit prior to that. So in this particular activity, you are supposed to be someone who's leading a freshman orientation. You are accompanying a group of students on a campus tour, and so these are the different places you're visiting: the librería, cafetería, biblioteca, gimnasio, and laboratorio de computadoras. So all of these places, and you are going to give 2 suggestions. One thing that they should do and one thing that they should not do while they're using these facilities in at the university. Okay, and of course they gave you a model. En el gimnasio no lleven los zapatos de la calle. So in the gym, basically you shouldn't wear, or don't wear, don't wear your street shoes. So notice what form that they've used. So the ustedes command form, because you're talking to a group of new students. So since it's a group of students, we want to use the ustedes command forms. Okay, so that is a little bit about the oral assessment. I'm going to click this off. And of course, you'll notice I'm looking under assignments. Here is the midterm. Again, 11:59 p.m. is when it's due. I suggest setting aside around 2 hours for this particular assessment. It may take you more time or it may take you less time. Most of the time I've noticed with midterms it takes students around an hour, but it can vary, especially in 211, because there are the grammar is at a higher level and you have a lot more that you have to work with when it comes to 211 versus 111 or 112, for example. So I do suggest to sort of at least allot that amount of time. Again, you may need more. So the thing with a midterm is it's a 1 attempt deal. You can't save it. You can't go back to it. And if you accidentally X out of it, it's gone. So when you get in there, you need to be prepared to complete it. This midterm will include the information from chapters 8 and 9. It will be include listening, reading, and writing. There is no speaking component. That's what we have these oral, práctica oral, these oral assessments for. So, and when I say writing and reading, I'm just specifically talking more about filling in the blank and reading the actual questions and prompts. You will not have like a huge written section, like write a paragraph or anything like that. That's why I have written assignments. But again, just make sure that you allot enough time and that you prepare well for this. I have seen problems before where people who are not familiar with the material, who haven't really practiced or studied or anything, will go ahead and try to take the test and it times out. So, after 5 hours, It's going to happen. I do realize, I mean, I'm not clueless. I know people will use their notes in their textbooks and things like that. It happens, but there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, again, if you're not familiar with the information, it will take you longer, which is a big issue. The other thing is that you may, if you're using things other than your textbook, things that you've learned from me, like for example, vocabulary words out of this particular book, if you use an alternative word that may mean exactly the same thing, you will get it incorrect. Okay, you have to use, and the goal is to use what you have learned in this course and in the previous courses using this textbook. So just be very careful about that, especially if something is a particular vocab word. Okay, so for example, if we were talking about waiter, and I can't even at this point remember what your book uses, but let's say the book used mesero, but you use camarero, it is possible that it will not take that. Okay, so just be aware of that, and that sort of thing. That's just what I want to remind you about. I think I forgot to mention with your practica oral, how that will be graded is the rubric. You can find that on Moodle, okay? And the midterm, as you go through this, you'll see the point values for each one. Okay, so let's talk about how you can prepare for the midterm. What you want to do is go up here, and I'm looking at this as a student. If you'll notice, here's my name, student, okay? You want to go to course materials and click on view all course materials. Okay, and so what you're going to see is a bunch of folders with various chapter names. And so this gives you access to everything that is in the textbook, but of course we are going to focus on chapters 8 and 9. Okay, and I'm really going to just look at one of the two because the folders that you see in here you will see repeated in both, and the sections you see you're going to see in both of these. So you will not necessarily see the written assignment in chapter 9, but you will see these three folders: video resources, student activities, and learning tools, apps, and games. These are the three that you're going to see, and you want to click on learning tools, apps, and games. There are some resources here, but this is mainly the cultural videos. The student activities is where most of the activities I've selected for you to complete for grades are. Now, none of these are assigned, and the reason I chose to do that is so that there's just so much content in this course that I really feel like choosing what you need to work on is up to you. And so this is not really for a grade. So you'll notice here we've got two folders, vocab and grammar learning tools. Those are helpful. I'll show you about those in a minute. The amplifier dynamic study modules, you have two different ones, but really they go to the same thing. I'll show you that in a moment. And if you get kind of bored but you still want to work on concepts related to grammar and vocabulary, you can play some of these little games here. You also have a practice test, and when you take this practice test, keep in mind this does not look like your midterm, okay? So it in no way represents that, but once you take it, it will give you a study plan. So if it sees that you need help with certain areas, then then it will tell you, and you can kind of formulate from there. So that's also a good resource. Okay, so let's go up to the amplifier. So when you click on amplifier, it's going to pop up like this. Okay, and the thing that you do is you're going to select your chapter as well as whether you want to review vocab or grammar. So I'm going to click 8. You'll notice it goes to all of these. So it doesn't matter which folder you go to, which chapter you're in, you can go and pick whatever chapter you need to. This is the vocab, this is the grammar, and you can start those modules. And so this will help you. It's sort of adaptive, so it kind of sees what you do well on and what you do not do well on. Okay, so you can do one for vocab and one for grammar. So let's look at our vocab learning tools. These are mainly tutorials, and most of the time it has a um, like a picture with some audio, and you can type in the words here. Okay. So that's all that these typically look like. Not all of them though. So those can be helpful for you, but I really find that the grammar is the more helpful section. I'm going to go back and look at the grammar learning tools. At least for most people, I feel that this grammar section. Okay, so first of all, you have your tutorials, so you can go through these. But really, it's the extra practice. Okay, so here for the imperfect, you've got imperfect of regular, imperfect of irregular, use of the imperfect. So when do you actually use it? So you can click on any of these. We'll just click on this one. And they look just like your regular activities, if this will pop up. So what's the best translation for each sentence or question? You know, you can save for later, you can submit for grading. If you have to fill in the blank at any point, right, you can, there's going to be something up in the corner like there usually is for your accent marks and all that sort of stuff, okay? Here's all your regular links. All of that stuff is there. So just remember, you can use these to practice to your heart's content. Cancel. And so you can practice as much as you want. It will not affect your grade in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You can even go back and redo some of the activities from before. They will be considered late. They will not count against you, though. But most people find that these are really helpful. And again, so you've got chapter 8, you've got the exact same stuff in chapter 9 as well. Okay, I'll just show you very quickly so that you can see. Again, course materials, here's chapter 9, and we are going to take a look at learning tools, apps, and games. So you'll see the folders here. There's your amplifier links, practice tests with study plan, and your games. And again, when you click on the grammar learning tools, you're going to see, again, tutorials. So in addition to those videos we had before, here are those tutorials if you haven't ever used any of these. And then again, extra practice activities, order and placement of direct and indirect object pronouns used together, for example. So there's plenty of stuff here to really help you review prior to your test. Okay, and again, like I told you before, here's your little accent bar. So it's there. So anyway, clase, good luck with your midterm. Remember, it is due by 11:59 p.m. You have one attempt in one sitting, so do not try to save it. It will not allow you back in. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, please do ask those prior to the midterm. I'll have students contact me, well, I never really understood, how to use the double object pronouns, and they'll contact me after the midterm. Well, that doesn't help you at all. Your grade is already been affected because you didn't get help on that. So please feel free to contact me. That's what I'm here for. I will just mention that this week I am going to be out of town, so I will be a little slower to get to my emails. I just want to throw that out there for you all, but I'm still here and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, clase. So good luck with the midterm and have a good week, and also have a great spring break. Adios.